All right, I think we'll get started. So I'm Brenda Bright. I am co-chair of the Ad Council, and this is our State of the Church meeting. And I do want to invite everyone to come down afterwards for soups and sandwiches after we're done. So welcome everyone. So I'm going to go over just the first couple slides and then I'm going to slip out. So our mission, which is why do we exist? To make disciples of Jesus who serve beyond the walls. And our core values that we have listed, that is how we will deliver on our mission. We want to be welcoming to all, partnering in faith formation, and encouraging service. Our vision, which is what do we want to look like as a downtown church in 3 to 5 years? A diverse community navigating the challenges of our world. And then we'll go on. Some of the ministries that we celebrate that focused on making disciples. Our small groups, we have Disciple Bible Study, Faith and Reason, Coffee Talk, Grounded, Friends in Faith, the Men's Bible Study, the Wonderful Wednesday Women's Group, and then our Confirmation Group. And next.
I'm member care committee, and our aims to be proactive through personalized support, timely communication, calls, texts, birthday, anniversary recognition for any member of our church family. We support for senior members, building community, make sure no one feels isolated. Easter and Christmas cards are sent, as well as poinsettias are delivered in December. Practical help, providing meals for members who had surgery, ill, or lost a loved one, offer transportation, visit to members with illness, surgery, long-term illness, and prayers most important. And I want to thank my committee members.
Hi, I'm Vivian Severson of the Welcome Team, and I want to give you a little highlight of what the Welcome Team has done last year. And most of you know that we have the Welcome Station out there, and it gives us an opportunity to visit with new members and get to know them and to hand them a welcome bag and to invite them back. And if there's children with them, then we have a bag for them also. And I'm very proud that last year we had 3 game nights, and the average attendance for those 3 game nights was 55 people. So that was really an eye-opener for all of us to see how much people want to get together and they want to have fun. And we do have one this Friday night. It's our first one for this year, and it's a chili cook-off, and it is at 6 o'clock on Friday night in Fellowship Hall. And then after that, we'll play bingo and have prizes and a lot of fun. And at each of these game nights, we do get a lot of visitors that come and a lot of families of all ages. So please try and come for Friday night. The membership, we had 6 new members last year, and it was down from the previous year, but we didn't have a confirmation class last year, which would have upped the membership. And also, there were also deaths in the church also. The church attendance per week, in person, all services, 141, and that was only down 3 people from the year before. And online worshipers is like 81 average per week, and that's much higher than it was in 24. So we're just all hoping and praying that all these numbers will come up this year. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Charlie Hanway, the Missions and Outreach Chair, and I've been reporting this information that I'm going to share with you today throughout the year in the weekly words and the monthly church newsletters. I will post this final report in the February newsletter so you can look at it more closely. A copy of this report is also on the bulletin board in the fellowship hall. Here are some ways Our Ames First United Methodist Church members are reaching beyond our walls and sharing our time, talents, and monetary donations to help others. The Missions Committee disbursement approvals of $8,280 for local, Iowa Conference, national, and international organizations. These funds come from donations from church members who write a check to FUMC and put missions on the memo line. Special Sundays, Church World Service blankets, and the Heifer Project donations equaled $5,990 this year. I just got an update about our crop walk. So FUMC crop walk donations equaled $6,300, with over 50 people from FUMC walking and or donating. The ASP sent 14 volunteers for 5 days to work in Magoffin County, Kentucky. Food at First, the fourth Thursday meal service, 101 volunteers. Now some of those are repeat volunteers, but I figure we spend about 2 hours each. So that's 202 hours of volunteer time. We also have a Food at First donations bin in the entryway with various containers and foods weekly being donated. Access donations, we gave them 136 items from the bin in the entryway. Ames Romero House, we collected 41 personal hygiene items to donate. Ames Romero House, 2 meals have been donated to feed 40 people each time and were prepared by church volunteers using United Women in Faith Be Bold grant funds. Bidwell closet donations delivered by United Women in Faith volunteers to Family Forward in Des Moines equaled 8 carloads of clothing, shoes, and bedding. In-gathering donations, the in-kind value was $2,124.90 for 36 school kits, 44 personal dignity kits, 4 cover them with love quilts, and extra items and monetary donations. Jefferson Midwest Mission donations, 61 items plus 2 carloads of sewing machines, bikes, medical equipment, and miscellaneous items. The FUMC Foundation donated $5,000 to their building capital campaign. Youth and Shelter Services Giving Tree donations, we donated 35 gifts. And to top off the end of our year, our Micah Food Pantry donations for 2025 equal 3,842 pounds. Thank you so much for your generosity.
I'm Gary McConnell, co-chair of council. I'm not Terry Goodman, but I'm going to give the report, and if there's any questions, I'll have to defer. A couple highlights from 2025. We had to replace the electrical panel in the parsonage at 1102 Burnett. One of the other items was most light bulbs were replaced in the sanctuary, which when you think about changing light bulbs at home, and then you think about changing these, it does require scaffolding. And a big thing was putting the new roof on the education wing, which was completed recently. Apparently there's still some sanctuary spotlights that need replacement, or we're looking at a, Yeah. Yeah, there's just a few up there that don't seem to be lighting. Putting a new sidewalk at 1102 Burnett. There's been ongoing discussions regarding the Oregon, which we've had some challenges with and need to come up with a direction there. Education window wall replacement or repair, and some repairs in the north wall in the sanctuary. So those are key items for this upcoming year.
Good morning. I'm Eileen Sullivan, representing the staff Parish Relations Committee, and I'd like to thank all my committee members, especially Pete Peterson has rolled off the committee after several years of service, and we appreciate what he's done. What we've been working on or worked on this past year, as you know, the reorganization of our pastoral sharing agreement within the parish. So Nikki is 50% with our church, and Amanda is 100% at Ames FUMC. Both pastors work together to kind of dole out duties and figure out how to divide time so that they could best serve both of the parishes, both of our churches rather. And then we did have a combined SPRC with the parish, and in the coming years, we still are considered a parish, but we'll let our SPRC serve any needs or meetings that may arise from that. A second thing that we did was a review and update of staff job descriptions, and special thanks to Amanda for taking time to format all of those job descriptions so they look uniform when we look at them now. And a new thing that we started doing was each member of our committee is a liaison for one of our staff members, and we meet with our person really as often as we can, try and bring back news from them regularly, but especially when it comes to job description and review, to meet with them, share with them, and make sure the job description is accurately reflecting what they're doing and then what their wages would be for the coming year. And we plan on continuing that practice. And then in the coming year, our goal would be looking forward to uplifting and affirming our staff as they are the heartbeat of our church, the ones who are here every day making sure that things are operating and moving along, and we definitely want them to know that we appreciate them. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Marty Sankey with the Finance Committee. Don't know if you can see this slide or not, but we started this year, started 2025 with a budget that was forecasted to be about $40,000 in the hole, in the red. So I have great news is that we ended up having about $11,700 surplus in our budget this year. And that's really, thank you very much for that, is all because of the congregation. It ended up our income exceeded our projections by about $22,500, but also our expenses were kept below projections by about $29,300. The staff and the committees really made a concerted effort to only spend the money that they needed to spend. We also can thank the foundation for helping us do some of the trustee projects. So again, between increased giving, decreased spending, it really has helped us. So we turned a $40,000 deficit into an $11,000 surplus. So thank you very much for that. One of the things I have up here is that apportionments have been paid for the last 4 years. We stress that because prior to those 4 years, we weren't able to pay full apportionments. We just were not in the financial shape where we could pay full apportionments. And I know apportionments is very important to this church. And so we've been able to pay full apportionments for the last 4 years, which I think is great. The income has exceeded, we've been in the surplus for the last 3 years, which is great news to share. And between the December, I want to kind of talk a little bit about the December giving because it's just been astronomical the last 3 years. In 2023, we ended up with a surplus of $6,100. So just made it into the black. But we did that because in 2023, the December giving was over $108,000, just that month alone. In 2024, we had a $37,500 surplus. The giving in December was $99.7 million, yeah, $99,700. And in 2025, we went into November with a deficit of, I think it was about $40,000 that we were in the red going into end of November. Our giving in December of 2025 was $103,300. And so to put that in perspective, our average giving for every month in 2025 up to that point was about $57,300. So the congregation really has stepped up, and I want to thank you very much for the giving that you've done in December and the giving that you do all year long. So thank you very much. A little bit on stewardship. Our stewardship, we continue. If you haven't done a pledge, please do. Our pledge numbers are just a little bit higher than they were last year, but the good news is right now we're about $31,000 higher in pledge dollars than we were last year. So people are giving more, so thank you very much. Want to end it. Many of you might be the age 73 or greater, and you're required to make a minimum, minimum distribution, required minimum distribution from your retirement account. When we put our money into our IRAs, the government, eventually they want their money. They want us to pay taxes on that, so they require to make a minimum distribution. Now, one great way, if you are required to do one of those, you can do a charitable contribution. It's called let me get the name right, a qualified charitable contribution. What this is your IRA steward can give money from your account directly to the church, and that money would not be taxable. So for instance, if your required minimum distribution was $25,000, you had to take $25,000 out of your IRA, you would be taxed on that $25,000. Now, if you had your IRA custodian send a check directly to the church for $10,000, you would only be taxed on $15,000 instead of $25,000. So again, it's always a great way if you could help save taxes and help the church if you're going to be giving. We have a lot of people that give their yearly tithing, the yearly gift pledge in the first couple months of the year because they take advantage of this. And if you aren't, please consider doing it. So again, thank you for the giving. You've made my job much easier when we end the year in the black. So thank you.
Good morning. My name is Joel Sullivan. I'm representing the FUMC Foundation today. Currently, our balance for the foundation is just over $1.3 million. Our expenses every year as a foundation, the budget that we set up is to spend 5% of the last 7 quarters. So we are still recovering one more quarter until we can make 2022 disappear in the rearview mirror and not have to worry about the expenses from that, and that will allow our budget to grow a little bit for our annual spending with the foundation. What we typically have committed in our annual budget is the scholarships for somewhere between 10 to 12 students every year through the foundation. Last year we increased the spending from $500 per student per semester to $750 per student per semester. And that is because we hadn't increased the $500 since like 2002. And as we all know, $500 doesn't go as far now as it used to. So we increased that fund last year. We also contribute to the confirmation camp for our youth every year. We're in an every other year cycle, but we budget for it every year. That way we can make sure that if there is some expenses that come up for the youth, we can cover those. And then the last 3 years, we've been able to support the staff with some professional development and educational opportunities in a variety of ways for several of the staff. It's, you know, we can all talk about God moments, but last fall, we were getting into September, October, and I reached out to Terry Goodman, the chair of the trustees, and I said, hey Terry, we've got some leftover money in our budget, from foundation. Is there anything, one-time expenses that the foundation can take off of the plate of the trustees? And literally 3 days later, the roof in the education wing sprung a large leak, and we were called into action. So the trustees weren't really counting on they knew that the roof was on their list of things to do. And we got the call, and so we had to finagle things a little bit because we didn't have the $53,000 in our budget. We had about $30,000 in our budget, so we paid for some of that in November, and we wrote a check on January 2nd for the balance, and the trustees were able to find a company that was willing to take 2 payments over the course of 45 days when we made the payments. So we are fortunate enough to have a foundation like we do in our church because we are able to help out with those one-time expenses that come up that put us in a great position. If you want to go to the next slide. So there are 3 different ways that the foundation is able to access their funds, whether that be a direct gift to the church, whether that be through the endowment through the church, or whether that be through a direct gift, or through the Story County Foundation. So on the right there, you see the 3 different options for legacy gifts. And foundation, we can work with cash, we can work with securities, we can work with real estate, or we can work with personal property. So there's a variety of ways that you can support the church financially, whether it be through the finance committee, whether it be through foundation. Thank you.
So as we look at our 2026 goals, the first is to continue to develop the relationship with Romero House. And it was great last Monday watching the crew that was here putting together meals for the Romero House, which is certainly something they need. As Charlie talked about, there was we've provided some kits over there, and periodically we will be able to put out, here are some needs that they have. We'll continue to strengthen our relationship with the downtown Ames and be a welcoming church, certainly supporting downtown Ames events, but to me the exciting one was the Ames Warming Center, which certainly this last week we can appreciate with the cold and having that set up. On a personal, as you look at other things you can do, there's certainly opportunities for both of those to volunteer. I think Ben and Charlie have both spent some time at Romero House. It's 2-hour shifts? Yes, basically. And there's opportunities with the warming center. It was interesting to me last week at the coffee time, I was talking with a gentleman who goes to Romero House, and he talked about one of the most important things that he got out of it was the opportunity just to have conversation. So as you think about the opportunity to volunteer there, or even if we see some people attending our coffee time, conversation is something we can all easily do. The third goal for this year is to implement the leadership board structure, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And we're also increasing the engagement and learning of the Bible by all the generations. So we've got the Disciple Fast Track that we're going through now. We're getting about a week away from completing the Old Testament, and then we'll be starting in the New Testament. I'm sure we would be happy to have some more people join if you would like to jump in at that point. And then we have a gospel study coming up at Lent. So, leadership board, again, why? Fewer committee meetings, increase the focus on mission and ministry actions. And, Charlie and I had talked about it. As you looked at the 2 slides that were presented, they were a little hard to read because there's a lot on there. That's a good thing. And we want to make sure that we're freeing people up to go do those kinds of activities. It'll hopefully help us reduce total time for reaching decisions and getting actions done. And really, it's the freedom to use talents without attending meetings. As you look at the leadership board, church council versus leadership board, both are defined in the Book of Discipline. In the current council, there's about 27 people that show up. In this, there'll be 12. The meetings are open to everyone, whether it be the current church council or under the leadership board. The only exception would be if we go into kind of a close discussion about SPRC topics. As you look at the next picture, just to think about this, again, primarily what the leadership board is taking on is the leadership and the administrative tasks. We're still keeping all of our mission and ministry committees as well as foundation. There will be a ministry committee will be assigned to a staff or pastor as a liaison so that we keep track of what's going on there, and as there's needs and discussions come up, We'll discuss those in the leadership board as well. And so the other key change is as we look at nominations typically, and you'll see all the people that are involved, we used to, on nominations, try to find people to fill not only the leadership roles, but all the slots on the committees. So as we go forward, nominations will identify people for the leadership board, for the foundation, and for committee chairs. But as we look at the missions and ministry committees, those will be as people volunteer, whether it be for 1 year, or if they feel so empowered, maybe a decade. So, no? Okay, so as we look at the leadership board and getting that put in place, we sent the charter out for review. It's an opportunity for you to look at what's being proposed. We had 2 Q&A sessions to be available to answer questions. I would have to say the questions were limited, but if any of you still have questions, any of us would be happy to talk to you about it. We're in the process of completing some of the discernment and design and looking at a couple of the processes and starting to think about how we would go about selecting nominees for the board. There will be a intended church conference in May, which we would ask you to vote and approve a resolution to move to this leadership board concept. And then assuming that that is approved, we go into completing our nominations, getting some training put in place, and launch for the fiscal year of 2027. So, as you look though at who's all involved in things right now, I haven't counted it, it's about, I think last year it was 90 some people. And so certainly as we look at all those, we give a big thanks to the pastors, the staff, the committee members, and the volunteers for all the work that they're doing. So with that, any questions? Hearing none, go visit Brenda and lunch. Thank you.